It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Hi friends, Aitherea here, and in the famous words of Taylor Swift, I'd like to admit that I am the problem. I am the reason that I'm not having fun in Final Fantasy XIV. And I have a feeling that I'm not alone in this. Did you know that I rushed through the entire Ivalice raid series, skipping all of the cutscenes so I could finish it as quickly as possible? I did that because I wanted the Lex and Tails hair from the gold saucer, and it only unlocked after finishing those raids. I didn't even end up wearing the hair, but I have been told time and time again that I've missed out on some amazing content in the game, and I'm inclined to believe that. You see, I have this problem, and it's called greed, and it's also called impatience. When there's something I like in this game, or something that I think I really want, because half the time I get the item and then never even use it. But anyway, I get so impatient to obtain that thing that I often miss the forest for the trees. That is to say, I sacrifice my enjoyment of the content in order to get the reward faster. And that's really sad. In fact, I did almost all of the first 2 variant dungeons using a guide, rather than exploring it myself, and it felt a little bit like a chore if I'm being honest. It was just something I was doing for the reward. However, when Allo Allo came out, I grabbed a friend, jumped into voice chat with them, and we tried to figure out all of the paths ourselves, and can you believe it? It was about 1,000 times more fun than the first 2 variant dungeons had been. Even though I badly wanted the Allo Allo mount, and it's actually one of my favorites this time, I decided to actually enjoy the journey of the content rather than rushing through it for a reward. And honestly, I can't stress to you enough how fun the variant dungeons actually are if you do them as intended and try to puzzle them out yourself instead of using a guide. Like, really? Guys, you have to try it without a guide. My friend and I did eventually turn into a guide. I know I'm telling you not to use them, but we did turn to it eventually. But that was only after we'd really had our fill of the content and, felt stumped. In the end, we did get our enjoyment out of the content and didn't rush through it. I actually made a similar video to this one about a year-ish ago, where I talked about rushing through the MSQ especially, and I think that to some extent that is still relevant for me. When a new patch drops, I actively try to get certain things done so that I can do other things. To some extent, I think I feel FOMO. For example, I often find myself rushing to finish the MSQ, or at least get to the trial, so that I can do the extreme trial during week 1. I don't really understand why I'm doing that though, because I don't really enjoy blind prog, and I actually prefer to wait until there are established strats, so it really doesn't matter if I do it week 1 or not, but for some reason, I push myself and rush myself to unlock that. The relic weapons this time around haven't been so easy to measure in terms of how much people are rushing them, but I remember in Shadowbringers, there was a step that required you to run a dungeon, I think Void Ark, 18 times. And when I logged in the afternoon that patch had dropped, some people in my FC had already done an entire weapon, and they were halfway on to a second one. So there is some concrete evidence here that I am not the only one who rushes content in this game. Personally, I don't find relic grinding to be all that fun. It's not something I particularly want to savor, but I know there are people who do, and maybe if I actually did slow down, I wouldn't hate farming them so much, because my method of farming usually leads to burnout. Is it really a surprise that something becomes boring if you force yourself to do it over and over and never give yourself a break from it? I ruined Bozja and Dulubermegene for myself that way. But again, this all happens because I see other people with the relic weapons and get impatient to have one for myself. Whatever the content is, I really need to remind myself that it makes a little difference if I obtain the item today, or in a week, or in a month. I should be prioritizing my enjoyment of the game, not the acquisition of an item. It's okay to take more time to obtain a desired reward if it means having a more enjoyable experience. So sometimes rushing content can ruin your fun because it causes you to completely bypass and ignore the very thing that makes it fun, such as in my example about using guides for variant dungeons. Other times, you steal your own fun away by not pacing yourself and by forcing yourself to do something more often than you actually feel like doing it, which can lead to burnout. Believe it or not, I also think that taking breaks is a good way to preserve your fun in this game. I don't know about you guys, but I've been subbed for about 3 years, and lately, if I'm being honest, I have felt a little bit bored of the game. But I think that's to be expected. When you've been playing for as long as I have, you get to a point where you have explored most of the things in the game that you want to explore. There are still some things that I haven't done, like Eureka, that I plan to do, but the truth is, I just don't feel like doing them right now. So if you're like me and you have played for a while, and all you're really playing for is new content, sometimes it can be beneficial to take a break, let that new content pile up, and then when you come back, you have a lot more to do and you're feeling refreshed, and you're not going to have so many of those feelings like the game is boring or has nothing for you to do. It is okay to take breaks from this game because the reality is that there are going to be content lulls. That is just part of the cycle of Final Fantasy XIV. And we can complain about it to SE all we like, but it's hard to say if that's really ever going to change, especially because creating an MMO is a huge undertaking, and Square Enix is a business. So we could argue that they should hire more people so that they can create more content for us, but we already do get regular content, and that's a lot more than I can say for most of the MMOs that I've played in my life. So I think the expectation of more content than we're getting is a little bit unrealistic because, again, Square Enix is a business and I highly doubt they're going to want to hire too many more people. And personally, I do think that they are giving us a fair amount of content for our money. I understand, you're paying $15 a month to play this game, and some months you feel like you have nothing to do, and that's why I really feel like taking breaks is beneficial. If you unsub, you're actually sending a strong message to the company because they are no longer making any money off of you. You're saving your money, and you can take that time to kind of not only play other games, but, just chill out from 14 and let that content build up so that when you come back, you're refreshed and you can have more fun with it. You don't have to be married to Final Fantasy XIV, and you can still love the game, but still take breaks. At least, that's what I think a healthy way to play the game is. I think if you're feeling very frustrated with the game and you're feeling like there's nothing to do, you're really only doing yourself a disservice by continuing to pay for the game and trying to find something to do in it if there's really nothing that you're currently interested in doing. Don't hurt yourself like that because I feel like you're just going to make yourself dislike the game even more because nothing is going to change, at least not soon. So it would be better to just step away, maybe until Dawn Trail comes about and there's actually going to be content for you to do, and you can enjoy it that way. Of course, everyone has their own way that they want to enjoy the game, so if you don't like what I'm saying and that's, not enough for you, then that's your decision, but I just wholeheartedly believe that taking breaks is a healthy way to play this game, and content lulls are normal and they're always going to be normal because the devs are putting a lot of work into all of the content that they put out, whether it's recent content or future content, and they're very busy bees. I do believe that there is a lot to do in this game, and most people, even people that have been playing for a while, could find something to do if they really wanted to. The question is, though, do they want to? Because there's always going to be some content that appeals to you and some that just doesn't. But again, just because certain content doesn't appeal to you and you don't want to do it, does not mean that the content doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that there's technically nothing to do. It's just that there's nothing you want to do. But yeah, if the game isn't fun for you anymore, maybe it's time to step away for a little while and come back later. Anyways, fun. If you're not having it, take a moment and think about how you've played Final Fantasy XIV. Have you done what I've done and gotten impatient for rewards? Have you focused so hard on other aspects of the game that you forgot to even try to have fun? Have you gotten caught up in all the Endwalker hate, and it's more fun to hate on the game than actually try to have fun in the game? Sorry, that one was a little rude. Well, anyways, maybe you need a perspective shift, and maybe you don't. Maybe you genuinely don't find the game fun, and that's okay. Or maybe you just need to take a break, and that's okay too. But that's about all I have to say on the matter. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this topic in the comments below. Is there anything in 14 that you regret rushing through or skipping? Do you feel like you've forgotten the fun for the rewards, or do you think the content of this game isn't even fun to begin with? Whatever your thoughts are on the matter, I'm interested in hearing them. Please consider leaving a sacrifice to Lord Algorithm in the form of a like, comment, share, or subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching. Bye!